This video explains how to remove NA columns from an XTS time series object using the R programming language. So without too much talk, let's dive into the R code. In this video I will show you an example, and for this example we first need to create an example data frame, as you can see in lines 2 to 10 of the code. So after running these lines of code, a new data frame object called data is appearing, and we can print this data object to the bottom in the RStudio console by running line 11 of the code. And then you can see that we have created a data frame containing 6 rows and 4 columns, whereby the first column contains dates and the other columns contain values. Now, if we want to convert this data frame to an XTS time series object, then we first need to install and load the XTS package, as you can see in lines 13 and 14 of the code. I have installed the package already, so for that reason I just need to load it running line 14 of the code. And then in the next step we can use the XTS function to convert our data frame object to an XTS object. So after running line 16 of the code, a new XTS object is appearing at the top right, which is called data XTS. And we can print this time series object to the bottom in the RStudio console by running line 17 of the code. And at this point you can see that our data set looks quite similar to the data frame that we have created in the beginning of the tutorial. However, at this point we are dealing with an XTS object instead of a data frame object. However, based on this output, you can also see that some of the columns in our data set contain NA values. And the third column, x3, does only contain NA values. So let's assume that we want to remove such only NA columns as the column x3. Then we can apply the code that you can see in line 19. So in this line of code, I'm subsetting our data object, data XTS, using square brackets. And within the square brackets, I'm using the colSums and is.na functions to check which of the columns in our data set have the same number of NA values as the number of rows in our XTS object. So in other words, which of the columns consist exclusively of NA values. And then I'm removing these columns, so after running this line of code, a new data set called data XTS1 is created, and we can print this time series object at the bottom in the RStudio console by running line 20 of the code. And then you can see that we have created another output, and this output contains only the columns x1 and x2, and the column x3 was removed because this column contained only NA values. We can also remove columns that contain at least one NA value, as I will show you in the next part of the code in line 22. So in this case, I'm using the colSums and is.na functions once again, and I'm checking which of the columns do contain only valid values, so which of the columns do not contain any NA values. And then I'm creating another data set, which is called data XTS2. So after running line 22, this data set is appearing at the top right, and we can print it to the bottom in the RStudio console by running line 23 of the code. And now you can see that our new time series object contains only the dates and one column x1, which contains no NA values anymore. That's all I wanted to explain in this video. In case you want to learn more on this topic, you may check out my homepage, statisticsglobe.com, because on my homepage I have recently published a tutorial in which I'm explaining the content of this video in some more detail. I will put a link to this tutorial into the description of the video, so you can find it there. If you have liked this video, or if you have any questions, let me know in the comments section below. I'll try to respond to all comments as soon as I can. Furthermore, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get notified about future video releases. I have already published about 500 videos on this channel, and I'm releasing new videos on a daily basis. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next video.